But hi guys, how are you? I've missed you guys. How's everybody been doing? That was gross. Let me do that again. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Mariana. If you're not new, we've been best friends since the Ice Age, even before then. I don't make the rules, it just is what it is. Like, we've just been besties since forever. And we're currently FaceTiming, so go grab your snacks, go do whatever you have to do. You're here for my driveway diaries. A little bit of rants here and there, little story times here and there. A little bit of road rage here and there, because typically I always have road rage. Oh, and technical difficulties, like always. So, let's get started. You know, let me start this all over again. I suck at this. I haven't recorded in forever, guys. Like, I'm having so many technical difficulties already as this. And also, I haven't been recording just because, one, I haven't been feeling it. And also, I don't know how to style my hair. Like, I either look like, I don't know. It looks like I always have a a bird's nest of a hair. Like, it's bouncy and whatnot, but like, I can't get my hair to figure out if it wants to be on the left, on the right, or in the middle. And then I get the cute, aw, that's roadkill, poor dear. Or like, there's moments where like it does that little cute swoop, and then I can't do the swoop is not naturally on my other side, and it makes it look so blah. So, but anywho, I've been to the dentist, still hate it. Literally, I was in the dentist for more than 4 hours because they were trying to, I think what they called it is inlays. They kept on breaking my inlays. In total, they broke like 6 inlays, and they couldn't get it. And I was just there for like literally, I don't know for how long. I just know that for the fact at that point I was just so overly stimulated with whatever they were freaking drilling me in. And then the girl who was the assistant wasn't even helping. Like, she let the water drip out of my mouth. I felt gross. I felt disgusting. I felt the itchiness of the drilling. And when I got out, I literally just broke down in my car because I was just so overstimulated, and I was hungry. Like, I hadn't eaten anything just because of the anxiety, and I didn't want to throw up. But yeah, that's how it's been. Oh, and then, you know, the recovery process. And now I have to get my wisdom teeth removed, all 4. Well, in reality, they just said 3, but I need to get all 4 of them removed, and I'm terrified because I've been going through a rabbit hole of what happens, or what could happen, or what may happen, and now I have to worry about dry sockets and pain and going under anesthesia because I've never gotten under anesthesia whatsoever. That means I've never been in any kind of surgery, so I'm very anxious, and I'm hoping they have the date available because my boyfriend is already like put vacation in. But that's my life update. I've been losing weight. I still look fat. I look ugly, and my hair is not cooperating with me, and I still don't know how to be feminine enough. But how's your day? How have you been doing? I hope your day is better than mine. Let's just say that Georgia weather sucks ass, but today is kind of cloudy and it feels actually pretty cool for a very long time. But if it does rain, most likely it'll be hot, humid, which will feel disgusting as hell. But anywho, let's get started with the story time because that's what you guys came for. That's why you're FaceTiming me eating whatever you want to eat, and you're enjoying it for me because I can't, because I'm in a calorie deficit. I hate my life. Oh, there's one where I literally, it popped in my head while I saw one of the coworkers coming out because literally, okay, so this happened still for the company that I work at, but it was at the warehouse. So there was this one guy, he literally, for me, he literally was like an uncle. Like, he could be like an uncle in my opinion. And what I always knew, he was really nice. He'd be like, hey, take your time, it's okay. Like, he never gave me like creepy vibes. Like, he was just one of like those nice uncles that could be your uncle, you know. So he would also bring me these candies, probably a red flag, but these candies were like kind of like coffee they were basically like Mexican candies that had like the coffee flavor, and I literally really enjoyed them. Like they were so freaking good. And he was like, "Oh, you have like the same candy legs as my daughter." I guess I could put it in that kind of aspect. And I was like, "Oh, okay." That I found weird because I was just like, "Okay." And then afterwards, like, here's the thing. I've come to learn that wherever you work, be careful if you have your social media public, especially your Facebook. So the thing was that he found me on Facebook and he added me as a friend, and I didn't really think anything of it, so I added him, and I'm just like, well, we're cordial. He's nice. Like there's nothing above and beyond going through that whole thing. And so there was one moment he had texted me something, and I felt so uncomfortable that afterwards I couldn't see him the same. And I was just here like, what the? Me, it was just so creepy. And then the thing was that I didn't even I wasn't the one who responded. Like I showed my coworker friend when we still worked over there at the warehouse. I showed it to her and she literally responded for me, and afterwards the whole work experience was just so awkward. Like he would literally avoid me. I wouldn't avoid him just because he would only work at the warehouse to like recover hours that he missed at the plant, or working extra hours because the plant didn't provide anymore. And he would avoid me like the plague. And the thing was that I still had to communicate with him because I had to do the inventory from the plant, and I had to ask him because he was a designated person to count the inventory over there. And I was just there like, damn, like I still have to communicate with him. But thankfully, like there was like I guess a clerk for that side that I would call her, and then she would tell him, and we wouldn't have to speak anymore. And the thing was that I found that whole experience so awkward, so creepy. And it's like, it's not my first time though. Like there was this other man who literally, he's a dad, he's a husband, but it's like, he's very sweet, don't get me wrong, but he comes to you in a very creepy manner that you're just like, it gives you the ick, and it just gives you like goosebumps, and it makes you not want to talk to them. That's how it was. Like there was other like creepy guys at the warehouse, but those are like the only two I can like oh no, there was this other guy. Damn, I'm remembering all of this, and it's been more than like 6 years. Well, reality, 3 years working over there. But there was this one other guy that literally, I don't think I talked about this. Okay, this is gonna be like a little bit longer story. But there was this one guy. The first time he was hired, he got fired because he was gambling. And per our company, they don't, they're not, they literally are not nice about gambling. Like if they see you gambling on company grounds, you're fired. So that was the first time he got fired. The second time he got hired, and then he got fired because they found out that he was one of the employees. And the only reason they found out was because the girl who got hired, she was a janitor. And the thing was that they were sexting on Facebook. God forbid freaking Facebook with these warehouse workers. But they were sexting, and the girl's husband found out and literally dragged her out of the warehouse. And then they fired him because of the whole thing, because at that point, literally, it was adultery. And that I'm aware of, he had his whole wife and kids and whatnot, or girlfriend or kids. Like, it was really messy. Like, he was creepy and messy, and it was literally gross. Like, and then there was this one guy who literally, he kept on asking me out when I would regularly reject him. And on top of that, I was already like engaged to my then military fiance, and I would be like, no, I'm engaged. And I was like, every single time I'd be like, no, I'm engaged, no, I'm engaged. But then he would spread rumors saying that I was going out with him, and that he was me, and so on and so forth. That to a point, he literally was also like trying to make this other guy that liked me jealous. But him and I were cool. Like, we were just friends, a mutual understanding, because I told him, I'm like, hey, like, I don't have feelings for you, but you are really cool to hang out with. Like, he literally, with the anime, with the manga, like, I would always hang out with his sister because his sister used to work at well, I used to work with her at the warehouse. Like, I would go to her baby shower, to their birthdays, to whatever they were celebrating. Like, I was always invited. So mutually, there was an understanding that I didn't like him, and we could only see each other as friends. And because also I was his sister's friend, so that's how it was. Like, that's how mutually it was. And he kept on like trying to make him jealous, and then he was like, I don't care, like, I know she doesn't like you, and so on and so forth. Like, and then the thing was that it got creepier and creepier, because at some point, I guess, I rejected him so many times that at that point he was starting to spread rumors that he was my coworker, and she was in a relationship. So like, I don't know, like, these men at warehouses are creepy, and they're so gross. Like, I don't understand. Like there's other messy things at the warehouse where I used to work at that literally you would be so disgusted at. Literally. Like I think I previously said, like, most of these men were married, and they were one female or two female or three female that worked at the warehouse. Mainly one, predominantly one, because the other ones would get fired. But it was just so disgusting. Like, I can't tell you. Like, I would say work at warehouses, but if you do, like, know the discretion and like how people talk, because people are just gross. So now this story time was when I was younger. I used to be in church choir, like kids church choir, but this was more like, I think, my freshman year of high school. I think so. Or was it middle school? I don't really remember. But the thing was that beforehand, I was in the adult choir, but I wasn't really musically inclined to singing. And I would really wanted to be a part of it because I love singing. And I knew most of the, like, the church choir songs as is. So, and this was during Spanish mass. So I literally went to, like, the adult choir and asked them, like, hey, what do I have to do in order for me to be in the choir? And they're like, okay, come to one of the practices and we'll see if you're musically inclined and if you're in pitch. So then I wasn't musically inclined, I was not in pitch, I was, disgusting. And they're like, yeah, we can't have you. Literally, they're like, we can't have you. And I literally ended up breaking down or crying or breaking down, because I was just here like, I thought I had it because I was in choir and chorus in elementary school, but they didn't want me. It's funny now. They didn't want me, but I would still go every Sunday early in the morning, because since I wasn't singing, they had put me where, like, they have the projector and then the microphones and whatnot. So I would literally just be doing the PowerPoint for the songs of every single hymn. And sometimes I would learn, like, how to adjust the microphones, the lighting. Like, I was literally getting, like, kind of smug back there because I was in the very back, and I just felt very important. So there was a point where eventually there was a child choir that started coming, and they would say, hey, like, if you're interested, like, we're gonna be downstairs, like, we're gonna be teaching you how to play piano and how to sing and so on and so forth. That I told my mom that I wanted to join. And there was this one time where I had asked, and she's like, no, you can't do it because I have to go to a church retreat. And I threw, like, the meanest fit tantrum ever, but I was like, whatever. Eventually, like, they opened up again for us to, like, go and sign up and whatnot. And I did, and literally, if I can go back in time, worst decision ever. Worst choice ever. Because at first, everything was hunky-dory. Like, they would teach you the piano and stuff, and they would be like, oh, like, you would basically graduate, like, levels. Like, if, I don't know if most of you guys ever had that little thing with the flute, or, no, with the recorder, and then you would have to, like, play certain musics in order for you to, like, escalate levels and get, like, a different kind of color of yarn and whatnot. And basically that was basically the premise of, like, like, you'd get to learn the piano, like, the scale and whatnot. You would have to pitch yourself, and basically you can scale up to whatever, like, the highest you can get, and then from there you're in the choir. So that happened to me. I did that, and then I got into the choir. I also was playing the violin because at that time I was in orchestra in, school. So then from there it translated to the choir. And the thing was that I didn't know how to read the sheets because they were doing the sheets in the scale of a piano. Like, not the notes in a staff, literally written words do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Like, that's how it was. And I was so confused. And I was just here like, what the hell? But I had to learn. I had to study. I had to learn. I eventually got it. And, things were hunky-dory. So I was playing the piano. I learned how to play the piano. Then I was able to start singing. And then from singing, I also had to play the violin. And the thing was that at first, the meetings were perfectly fine because they were at church. And from where I used to live, church was close. Like, it was close by. My mom could drop me off. She did her little, church study Bibles, whatever, from her little group. I would go to my class. And so on and so forth. Like, it was so hunky-dory. Like, it was really nice. It was peaceful. Everybody got along. But then there was a point where we couldn't use the room anymore because we were going to use it for something else. And then our rehearsals were at the person's house, like the main holder of the group's house. And that was literally further away than me going to church. So I would have to find rides at that time so I can go to the rehearsals. Thankfully, there was a lady who lived in the same neighborhood that I lived, and she was able to take me and bring me back. And, it was all nice and stuff and whatnot. And the thing was that there was a point where I was getting so annoyed because I was like, I'm tired of this church choir taking up my life because it was already going downhill and everything was so negative. Like, I guess the teacher, the main person doing the choir or whatever, I hated this about him. He didn't even call you by your name. Not even his own 3 girls. He will literally call them niña, pon atención, niño, Dude, that's my biggest pet peeve of Hispanics in general, is when they call you niña or niño, and they know your name, and especially if they're your family members. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. Like, I understand, like, if you don't know me, you're gonna call me, hey, niña. Like, perdón, no me acuerdo tu nombre, cuál es tu nombre. Like, I can understand that for, like, the first couple of times. But once you know me for more than a month, and you're a family member, and you still call me niña or niño, fuck shit. I won't say shit, but I'll be like, that's not my name. I've said it to my mom. I said it to that guy. I was like, that's not my name. And then they were like, ¿qué? ¿Por qué andas de rezongona? My mom would say that. And I'm like, usted sabe que ese no es mi nombre. Usted me dio mi nombre. Y niña no es mi nombre. That's towards my mom. And to that man, I would be like, ese no es mi nombre. And then he would be like, pues es la primera palabra que salió de mi boca. And I'm just here like, ¿usted quiere que yo le diga? What did I say? Oye usted? Because that's very disrespectful. I'm like, oye usted? Or oye, no, it was oyes tú. Or would you rather me call you by your name in a respectful manner? And he just looks at me like, I'm like, so next time don't call me niña. Because if you do, I'm going to be disrespectful to you too. I hate that about people. I don't understand people like that. Like I said, I'll let it slide because maybe you don't know me well for like a month. But past a month, if you literally can't recollect my name, because my name is pretty easy, especially my nickname, it's pretty easy to remember. If you can't remember it, then we got issues. But yeah, so that was like the first thing. The second thing was that there was moments where I literally could not make it and my ride was too busy, and I would be like, hey, I can't go. Can you guys please send me whatever you guys learned so I can learn it at home? Because we would rehearse like on Saturdays, and then we would do the actual like choir at church like 2 Sundays, but I don't really remember what was the schedule like. But yeah, so like that's how it was, and I would skip, not because I I didn't want to. Granted, yeah, I didn't want to go, but it's because my ride wasn't available, and eventually I started working at McDonald's. So I literally would tell them like, "Hey, like I can't do this anymore because of my job or transportation issues." And they would be like, "Well, you signed up. You need to make time because this is a full time commitment," which is understandable. It is a full time, not a full time commitment. It is a commitment that you signed up yourself into. But there was also a moment where this man, he literally was yelling at one of the. I understand why he was yelling at her, because she was chewing gum while singing, and you're not supposed to do that, especially in this household. But he started yelling at her and degrading her, and it just. And she was only in elementary school. Elementary school, my God. And so that girl, like, she takes a gum out, and literally, I look at the girl who is like the main vocalist, or the main vocalist, and I'm like, your dad is an ass. I just said that, and she looked at me. She was like, "Oh," I'm like, I get it. I offended her. I talked about her dad, and I offended her, and she felt some kind of way. And I'm like, "Your dad is an ass," and I said it with my chest puffed out, and she took it like, "Damn, you." And I think she told her dad, because after that, he was like, he literally was being so mean to me. And at that point, literally, I just started giving up. I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna do this. Like, I did this because I found it so fun. I felt fulfilled in some kind of aspect when I was still going to church and stuff. And literally, you guys are like sucking the fun out of it. And so there was a point where literally I just stopped going. I stopped going because of, the person in charge, which was the dad. I stopped going because the girls were literally acting so snobby. Like, they thought they were literally the main people holding it, which they were, because they were so musically inclined. But, like, to me, it was so annoying, because since they knew they were so musically inclined, or very, what's the word? They were just very good at playing and singing, that, they just thought that they were. And at the end of the day, like, so many of the people in the choir in that group literally started dropping off. They literally started going, and so on and so forth. And literally, it ended up just being like, I think the main vocalist, one of the sisters that played the drum, because eventually she started playing the bass and then the saxophone, and she also started singing. And then they have a youngest sister, but she doesn't even look like she wanted ever to be in it. But, since all of them were doing some kind of instrument and singing, they put her in it. There was the kids that I went with that took me, the ones that I was tagging along for the ride. And then there's these other three kids. But then eventually it just was the sisters. It just ended up being the sisters. And then the people who fell off made another group. But then eventually, kids grow up. They don't want to do it anymore and whatnot. And eventually there was no more kid choir. There was no more kid choir because they already grew up. And they didn't want to be in that kind of commitment of being in it anymore. And there was no kids that wanted to be in it anymore. There was no, like, kids going and be like, "Hey, Mom, I want to be in the choir." No, they didn't. Those opportunities weren't open anymore. So, yeah, that happened. And, like, I don't go to church as much anymore, but the times I do go to church, I still see them. And the thing is that they say hi to my sister, to my mom, to my brothers, but to me, they don't see. Literally, they literally look like, what's the word? They look so smug that they think they're in a higher pedestal than me. And at the end of the day, I'm like, your dad talks mad shit about you guys, degrades you guys, and just makes you guys feel like shit. Why are you guys still there? Like, to me, I'm just here like, granted, not everybody has privilege to move out in certain circumstances, especially with this economy, but, like, you don't have to act so smug just because I chose to literally walk out of a negative space because you guys were making it negative. Plus, on top of that, they had an auntie that was involved in this whole thing where she had her kids as well. And during this time, I was having my 15, and I didn't invite them because it was still too kind of early to, like, know them very well. she was like, oh, so we heard, the auntie was like, oh, so we heard that you had a 15 and you didn't invite us. And then she was like, well, I'm guessing you didn't invite us because all the people that probably went were ugly. And I'm just looking at her like, yeah, you probably didn't invite us because we were too pretty to go. And I'm just here like, excuse me? And they were laughing at me, and they thought I was gonna stay silent. And I'm like, I didn't invite you guys because I didn't even know I was gonna be in the choir to begin with. And also, I don't know you guys that very well to be invited strangers. And she literally stayed quiet, and I'm just here like, I may be socially impaired in some kind of aspect, and I'm a very much people pleaser, but you're not gonna talk to me in that kind of aspect. Like, I hate people that are like that. Sometimes I do get the courage to talk like that, don't get me wrong, but it's very few times that I had that courage to talk like that. And literally, I just stopped seeing all of them as a whole, except for like the three girls and the dad and the mom at church. But other than that, I'm just here like, I'm glad I left. I'm glad I left at the time I left. Even though I left to work at McDonald's, but still, it was a way for me to avoid going to the choir rehearsals and whatnot. So, yeah. I just hated that experience. Like, it was so fun, and they just made it not fun anymore. Oh, now with the whole concept of church and whatnot. So, there was a point in my life where I was so into the whole church. I was literally, what do you call them in English? Like those people that literally like guide people to go get the bread and the blood of God or whatnot. I would be one of those people that would like guide them. There was a point where I was so super involved that my mom even involved me even more without asking for my opinion or asking for my permission, even though I didn't have that option because I lived under my mom. But there was a point where, since my mom was in this group in church, like, that literally saved her, well, in her opinion, saved her and opened her eyes in this retreat she took. But she was one of those people that literally like guided people or told people like, hey, you can't come in, or you need to speak your gum out, or hey, you need your mom to go to the bathroom. She was also those kind of people. I don't know how you say it in English. I just know that in Spanish it's mujer. So there was a point where she was so devoted in church. She would go to these classes. I think they met twice a week or once a week. So she was so devoted. She was so into it. Don't get me wrong. She's still devoted, but she's devoted in her own way. Just because she is getting older, and sometimes she doesn't want to go to church just because of how packed it is. And ever since COVID happened, it's kind of scary and going in crowded places. And honestly, in my opinion, I don't know about my mom, but church doesn't feel like church anymore. Maybe I need to go through a spiritual awakening. But not right now, because I honestly don't feel like that kind of stuff, and I don't even have time. So, but yeah, she was heavily devoted. And there was a point where since I couldn't stay home alone, she would take me to these classes, and I would be doing homework during this time. So then from there, like, I will listen to what they would say and whatnot, and then all like the activities they would do after church to like sell food for like any kind of gatherings or like more retreats, or for December for like La Virgen de Guadalupe, for the Virgin Mary. Or they did this Halloween party, but it wasn't said as Halloween per se. It was more like a costume or a masquerade party. But they didn't want anybody to come in any kind of ghoulish, devilish, kind of demonic kind of stuff. So that's basically what she did. And sometimes she would make food. Instead of selling food, she would make food and she would bring it. So there was a point where my mom, like, literally wherever she was, she would always say, oh, my daughter would do it. She's in it. Like, I got put in place I didn't even ask for. Like, I can't recall like two plays I was in, and literally I had to remember lines, I had to dress, I had to do my makeup, I had to wear glasses, I had to wear this, I had to wear that. And honestly, I didn't mind it, but it's just the fact that she would tell me last minute, and then she would be like, hey, you're doing this. And I would be like, why? I don't want to do it. Like, I don't want to put myself out there to that degree, even though I'm putting myself out there now. But I didn't want to put myself out there in that degree in church, just because also there was a bunch of family members that I knew would go there that were aware that I would be doing these kind of things, and then they would be like, um, "La muy santita," or like the like I don't know, like some like that. And I'm just here like, damn, like there's a point where I tell my mom like, I don't want to do this. Stop making me do these kind of things. Stop telling people, hey, she's gonna do this. And there's a point where like I would go to church, and the times that it was their turn or her group's turn to be a mujer, to like guide the people in church to their pews to go get the blood, the blood and the body of Christ, or like the ones who open the door so that the deacon and the father go in and stuff like that, or like the ones who collect the money and stuff. And I'm just here like, I genuinely, like, there's a point where I got an ick, and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. Stop forcing me. And there, I do remember there was this one time where we had gone to church, and I think they were missing people, and they're like, oh, you're here to help, and I'm like, no. I'm here to sit down and listen. And I think that day was kind of like the realization where I was just here like, why am I being told to do things I don't want to? I didn't rebel, but I was telling her like, hey, I don't want to do this. Stop asking me to do these kind of things. And also on top of that, it was because I was also starting to work Saturdays and Sundays, and I just genuinely just didn't want to like do that kind of stuff. Like, I was just here like, that's not for me. Like, I get it, you found your salvation, or your religious encounter, or whatnot, but I'm not. Like, I was forced to be Catholic. I respect my mom's religion and my family's religion. Like, I respect them to the most degree, because that's what they grew up and stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, there's things that I do believe in, but there's sometimes where I'm just like, this doesn't make sense. Like, I probably need to go through a religious journey, but at the same time I'm like, well, why do I have to go to church to praise God? I feel like I can praise God wherever I want to, whether it be a god or a goddess. But then again, to each their own. But yeah, like, there was a point where I just said, I don't want to do this anymore. Or there was also a point where I told my mom, like, I don't want to go to church no more. Like, I don't see a point for me to go to church on a Sunday when it's my only day off to do nothing. Because also during that time, I was going through a whole depression. I was going through anxiety, binge eating, EDs or whatnot. Self-diagnosed, but I was going through those issues. And I literally just didn't want to go to church. And my mom, being a Hispanic mom, she's like, no, vas a ir. Ponte la ropa y arréglate. And there was a point where I just literally was like, no, like, I don't want to go. Like, I will literally force myself to sleep more just so I wouldn't go and be ready. I was just like, I can't do this. Like, I don't want to be forced to be doing things that I need to fall in love in doing. And since I was forced since I was a little kid, I was just here like, I can't do this. Like, no thank you. And now I don't go to church just because I love to have my Sundays free. Currently, I haven't had my Sundays free. I haven't been able to stream because I work Saturdays, or I need to clean, I need to do laundry, and it's just like life happens. But I still don't think I will ever be going to church anytime soon, just because it's not that I don't find a point to it, it's just I haven't found the need or the want to go, and that's what I want to do. I want to have the want and the need instead of like, oh, I'm obligated to go. And I think that's what Hispanic parents need to understand. You can't force your child to go, because then eventually they're not going to want to go. You want them to have the want and the need to go, not the obligation that you need to go or have to go because I told you so. But my mom learned it the rough way with me, just because I did kind of rebel from it at a very old age. I would say like in my early 20s. That's when I started rebelling against that. Because my sister, she goes to church. She went on a retreat. She goes to the classes and she goes to church. And I'm just here like, you found it, you want to, you wanted it, you need to go. That's on you. Like, there's moments where she's like, hey, you should come. And I'm like, no, thank you. No, thank you. I think I've been too involved in the church when I was younger, and I don't feel like being involved now just because I don't have the want to do it. So, but yeah, that's also a thing. So, have a nice weekday. I hope you guys have a better day than me, a better weather than me here in Atlanta, Georgia. I hope you guys have better meals than I do. Because the only thing that's waiting for me back home is tilapia and some cuties. That's it. Oh, and a protein shake. That's practically it. Well, wish me luck, guys. Hopefully, I get more of a muscle mommy build. Because I'm not aiming for being skinny. I used to aim for skinniness, but now I just want to have a muscle mommy build. Who knows? I might record a freaking gym mini vlog too as well. Who knows? The world is my oyster. So is yours. So please have a wonderful day. Hopefully everything comes to fruition to you guys. Money, time, vacation, less stress and depression, and paranoia and anxiety. I wish that for you. And also, please take care of you guys as well. Please, please, please. There's too much violence going on. And generally, going anywhere is pretty scary nowadays. So please take care. I want to see you next time visiting my channel. And liking, subscribing, and sharing, and doing all that kind of stuff. Don't forget, I also have social media. I post here and there as well. So please take care. I love you guys. And I will see you next time. Bye.